What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. Today, I'm going to give a complete summary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad in under 5 minutes. If that sounds good, let's hop into the video. First of all, wealth is not measured by how much money you make. Wealth is measured by how many income-producing assets that you have. If you were to stop working today, how long could you survive? The answer to that is how wealthy you are. The author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a man named Robert Kiyosaki, and he has an estimated net worth of $80 million. Robert Kiyosaki does not come from a super wealthy family. His dad worked a traditional job and didn't really have any investments or assets. At the age of 9 years old, Robert Kiyosaki was sitting in his classroom, and his teacher was giving a lesson. Robert, at that young age, raised his hand and asked his teacher, "When are we going to learn about money?" His teacher responded, "Money? You want to learn about money? Don't you know that money is the root of all evil?" And Robert Kiyosaki replied, "Well, I still want to know about it." The teacher told Robert to go home and ask his father. So Robert Kiyosaki goes home and he asks his father, "How come school doesn't teach us about money?" Robert Kiyosaki's father replied by saying, "The government doesn't allow us to teach you that." You see, Robert Kiyosaki's dad was the head of education. He was a very smart man and had many PhDs, but he did not have a rich person mindset. He didn't understand assets versus liabilities. He didn't really understand how money worked. Robert asked his dad again, "Well, then how am I supposed to get rich if they don't teach me about money?" His father replied by saying, "Your friend's dad is an entrepreneur, and one day he's going to be a very wealthy man. You should go and ask him for advice." Now, Robert Kiyosaki's real dad, the man I just spoke of, his biological father, he is what's going to be known as Poor Dad later on in the book. Essentially, his mindset is go to school, get good grades so you can get a safe, secure job. And as most of you watching the video know right now, having a job is actually the worst way you can make money. It takes all of your time and you pay the most in taxes. With my entrepreneurship endeavors, I'm able to make about 5 times the national average of household income, and I pay less tax. So young Robert Kiyosaki goes to his friend's house named Mike, and he asks Mike's father for financial advice, and Mike's dad is eventually known as Rich Dad in the book. And it's important to note that this man who started mentoring Robert Kiyosaki, he went on to be one of the wealthiest men in the state of Hawaii. So the first lesson that the Rich Dad taught Robert Kiyosaki is the difference between assets and liabilities. In the simplest of terms, assets put money into your pocket each and every month, and liabilities take money away from your pocket each and every month. So some people out there believe that their house, the house that they live in, is an asset, and that's not true. If you own a house, you have mortgages, you have taxes, you have insurance. Even if your house is paid off and you don't have a mortgage, if the house is costing you money every single month, that house is not an asset, it's a liability. A house is an asset if and only if it has rental income that's producing to make you money. So for most people, the house that they live in is not an asset, unless, of course, they house hack by either living in a duplex or a multifamily and renting out the other units, or living in one bedroom and renting out the rest of the bedrooms in that house. Because again, the new definition of asset is something that puts money into your pocket. One of the primary causes of financial struggle is simply not knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. The way people build long-lasting wealth is they acquire assets that can pay for any liability that they have. If you want a Lamborghini that's going to cost you $4,000 per month, that's totally fine, as long as you first buy the asset that's going to pay you $4,000 a month, so it'll cover the cost of that Lamborghini. So I saw this great graphic made by Chronicle Living who put this together that basically showed the cash flow patterns of a normal person. They have income, which is their job. They have expenses, like their living expenses, food, taxes, credit cards, etc. Unfortunately, these people usually have zero assets, but they do have liabilities like their car payment or their house. But now let's look at the cash flow pattern of a rich person. A rich person makes income from their job or business, but then they buy assets with that money. Instead of it just going to expenses, they acquire income-producing assets. The assets that produce money, that goes back into their income column, and of course they use that income to again buy more assets. So imagine this cycle of you make money, you take that money that you make, and you buy something that produces more money. Now that money increases your income, and you use that higher income level to then go on and produce more assets, and you just keep building and building until all of a sudden you're making about $50,000 per month and you get featured on Millennial Money. Now, the process of acquiring assets that produce money, that is essentially what passive income is. By having assets, you're able to make income even when you're not working, meaning you can be making money while you sleep. Now, an asset that can be a business that you hire somebody else to run and doesn't require your time. It can be income-generating real estate, and it can be stocks that pay dividends. It can also be many other things, but again, I'm here to teach you guys this in 5 minutes, so I don't want to get too bogged down with examples. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the rich dad has an income that's greater than his expenses and assets that are greater than his liabilities. And this is why the rich continue to get richer, because their assets generate more money than their expenses are costing them, and then with that remainder, they invest that into creating more assets. You don't get wealthy by working hard. You get wealthy by hiring hardworking people. But that is pretty much it for this video, you guys. That was Rich Dad Poor Dad in under 5 minutes. The main takeaway from this video is to get assets that will cover your expenses and liabilities. Make sure to put in the comment section if there's any other book you guys want me to do in under 5 minutes, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.